Good morning, everybody. Let's talk about, should you be mad at big ag, big commercial agricultural producers? And I'm going to probably have the unpopular opinion among folks that homestead or want to market garden or things like that, but I'm going to say no. I don't think you should be, and I'm going to tell you why. There's a lot of discussion these days about Monsanto, Bayer, the companies that are driving the seed choices out of food production, and how they are truthfully destroying biodiversity in our crops. But you can't blame that on the farmers. They're outgunned, they're outnumbered, they're outlawyered. You know, they can plant what they can plant, and they try to make a living too. And I'm going to tell you that, here in the central Missouri area, in the middle of the state where I'm at, these farmers are friends. They're folks that when my sickle mower breaks, I can ask the guy that's cutting the next field over, who's a big ag farmer, hey, can you finish cutting that for me? I'll shoot you a little money or something, and he'll zip over and he'll cut that hay. Because that's how folks are around here. And I think we can have some misplaced anger at the fact that they don't get seed choice necessarily. They might choose between Pioneer or whoever. I don't even know who all the companies are out there. Kent, Weber, locally, I don't know who you buy commercial seed from. But I think our anger at commercial ag is misplaced, because the fact remains that those folks feed your friends and your family and your neighbors and people around the world. And as homesteaders or market gardeners or small farm folks that are either trying to be profitable or trying to simply do what we do, which is grow enough and raise enough that it tries to zero out our costs, which we'll talk about that in another video. But I don't think that the two systems have to intertwine necessarily. I take advantage of big ag all the time, because normally I make my own pig feed and chicken feed, but when my equipment breaks, I don't have an option. And we're fortunate, we live in the grain belt. Behind me is a grain terminal, and they can hold 6 million bushels of grain. And they're just about full of corn. Corn harvest is well underway here in Missouri. And when the situation gets like that, corn prices get low. And while that's unfortunate for the row crop guys like me that want to go to the co-op where they take that corn and they grind it and pelletize it with other stuff to make my chicken feed and my pig feed at almost the same cost as what I can produce it for when I have to mess with grinding it or pelletizing it, it's a pretty attractive option. And would we like to say that we're always organic and we're always this and we're always that? Yeah, but man, that's not practical for us. I have a full-time job. My wife subs at the school almost at a full-time basis. We got 3 kids, little girls still at home, adult children, and life has a lot of requirements. And I don't think that we should place our anger on fellow farmers that are trying to make their way in a system that is against them in a lot of ways. They are harangued into fertilize, spray, and plant. Fertilize, spray, and plant, because if you don't do that, you can't make enough money to buy any kind of equipment, even used almost, of any size. Sure, I think, we had a family farm when I grew up, 40 acres, and we probably produced stuff on about half of that, pigs and corn, and we picked corn with a one-row corn picker that did not shell the corn. We had an open-air corn crib that we put corn on the cob, dried corn, field corn in. But those days are gone, I think, as far as being a reliable production option, And that's a shame, but it is what it is. I don't think we ever go back to that without some sort of catastrophic societal collapse. So, don't be mad at big ag, Those folks are making a living too, trying to make a living. And when you look at the stuff they produce and sell, they're not making any more on it than what they did 10, 15, 20 years ago. And prices are up for them. Fuel, just like us. They feel inflation just like we do. And those folks are your neighbors for the most part. Some of you guys, I'm sure, experience true detached corporate agriculture where it's some big conglomerate from China or some other country, or just in the United States that nobody knows anybody. But if you live in rural America where the corporate ag guy is your neighbor and he'd let you fish in his pond, or he'll help you cut your hay if you break a piece of equipment, and you could shoot him a text and buy him a beer, those folks ain't your enemy. Not at all. Our enemy resides in the detached government that we have that wants to oversee us and overlord us and tell us that we shouldn't grow our food and that we have to buy certain seeds or things like that. Those folks are your enemies. You know, they need to be voted out. We need to replace them with some good, down-to-earth folks that understand you don't spend more than you make, and that you got responsibilities to meet before you can help other people, but that when you get to the point you should help other people. And that's what my corporate farmers around here are like. They're just old town folks. They work until they're old. They have good families. They got good kids. They support the schools. You know, those people, they ain't your enemy. Don't be mad at Big Ag. Shake their hand, tell them thanks for what they're doing, because if you're buying feed from Tractor Supply or Orchlands or Bouchette's or whatever your farm store is in your area, that stuff ain't coming from somebody like me. It's coming from Big Ag. And even the organic stuff, that's Big Ag. We have a ag exchange nearby that you can buy non-GMO and organic stuff, and those guys are big scale too. They have to be to make the margins. So make sure you're placing your anger where it belongs. Place it at the companies that force them into no seed selection and force them into fertilized spray and plant, because that's where our problem lies. It's not in the guys that are trying to make a living, or the gals. It's just not. You know, I went fishing yesterday morning and I followed a grain truck, probably from the 1980s. And I bet the lady driving that I bet she was in her 60s or 70s. And I bet it was her husband in the combine, also in his 60s or 70s. And he was shelling corn and she was running the truck to the co-op. That's what Big Ag is around here. And those folks are my neighbors and they're my friends, and I hope that you'll look at them differently as you go further along in your adventure of maybe trying to get your farm or your homestead or your market garden going, and appreciate what they offer to people that folks like us can't, that have a few acres. We have about 6 acres here. We can't offer to folks what they can, but we can offer them something different, and that's why we're important too. So thanks for watching. I hope you'll take a moment and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a thumbs up. Follow me, subscribe to the channel. Have a great day.